What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music and how it affects my life. And today on my show, I have Ian Gray of the band Recoil In Horror, man. And they're coming out of the Portland, Oregon area, man. And we had a great conversation, man. We talk about how he's dealing with things currently during COVID. We also talk about some of the tracks that these guys have out, some amazing features from guys like CJ McCurry and Julian Kersey. So, like, you know, really check these guys out. Recoil In Horror, man. Fantastic metal band. But before we get started, man, I just want to say thank you guys for listening to today's show, man. And once again, man, if you'd like to be a guest on my show or you have a show idea, please reach out to me on Facebook and Instagram, Blue Presents a Podcast, on Twitter at Podcast of Blue, man. And, man, just so excited about this episode, man. And we're going to play a track from Recoil In Horror before we get started on the show. But before we do that, man, you need to listen to my homeboy, AJ Pelletier, and the reasons why you should be listening to the Roads We Travel podcast.
Hey, everyone. AJ Pelletier here, and I'm here to talk to you about my podcast, The Roads We've Traveled. It's a podcast where every week I talk to guests and friends from music, art, comedy, and more about their journeys through life. Their struggles, their joys, and everything in between. You also get to know a little bit more about me and my journey as well. So if you like podcasts about good conversations about life, or maybe you're just looking to relate to somebody about some things you may be going through as well, then The Roads We've Traveled is the podcast for you. Subscribe to us today on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you guys get your podcasts from. Check us out and subscribe to us on YouTube. And check us out at facebook.com/Roads We've Traveled podcast. All right, everyone. Thanks.
In the final days of
What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music and how it affects my life. And today on my show, I have vocalist Ian Gray from the band Recoil In Horror. What's going on, Ian?
Oh, it's going good, man. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Sorry to have you up so late. If people don't know, Ian is in a different time zone than I am, and he's up like, what is this, 11 over there for you? It's 1 here.
Oh, it's it's 10:15. It's okay. I don't have a job, so I can't complain.
Sorry, I didn't mean to wake you up.
No, every day is the weekend for me, man. So.
Oh man, that sucks, man. So Before we get started, man, how are you doing during these Corona times, man? Corona's kind of like stopped everyone's music floss, music hustle. How are you dealing with that right now?
I'm making the best out of it every day, I think. It's definitely killed a lot of momentum for not only my project, but a lot of projects. Mm-hmm. So it's been I was expecting for us to have been playing live and practicing and doing all that stuff like normal band. But it's been a hindrance, but it's been cool because I can work on the studio and work on all sorts of stuff. So been making the best out of it that we can.
Yeah, man, I think that's the thing that we all need to remember. So to get started, my first question of every show, well, before, I threw that first question at you, but my first question for everyone is, what are your top 5 artists? Could be of all time, what you're currently listening to. You seem like you're prepared.
Yeah. If we get to talk for 5 hours on this one. My favorite, so I kind of broke it down into genre. My favorite death metal band is Beneath the Massacre.
Okay.
Definitely Beneath the Massacre. My favorite punk rock band is NoFX.
Okay.
My favorite mainstream rock band is probably going to be Foo Fighters.
Okay.
I love Dave Grohl. I know it's random. Hip hop artist is Hobson.
Okay.
I love Hobson. He's my favorite hip hop artist.
Definitely great entertainer.
And for my 5th, I think most inspirational is probably All Shall Perish. I think All Shall Perish All Around is my most inspirational band. My favorite, definitely my favorite.
Okay. I can see some of the artists that you've chosen. I can see some of that in your vocals and how you do them. So I'm going to tell you a quick story. So I played with Beneath the Massacre, and the whole time I watched that guy sing, I just thought, he has got a fucking neck on him. His neck is huge.
It's huge, dude. Yeah, it's like a tree trunk. That whole band looks like all they do is play music, and like when they're not playing music, they're at the gym.
Bro, I swear to God, the first time I saw that vocalist, I just thought, bro, he just eats steaks and lifts weights, man. He's just busting into the gym, bro. He's just all pure, like he's a monster of a man, and I wouldn't say they're really tall, because I think I'm a little bit taller than he is, but he is definitely not somebody you want to catch in a dark alley for sure.
No, dude, yeah, they're stacked. So I love that band.
So Ian, the purpose of my podcast is, man, just to discuss the journey of music, man, and how we all come together and how it all relates to us. So Ian, how did your love for music start? Where did it begin?
Oh, this is a good question. My love for music started out of rebellion. I actually came from a really conservative household, and things like mainstream music weren't allowed.
Wow.
And so, of course, I was told no, so I wanted to go out and achieve it more.
Of course.
It was really country west. Like, it was just, like I said, it was really conservative, like the opposite of everything that I am, pretty much. And so I was told no, and then this is during the grunge era. Right, so you had Smashing Pumpkins, you have Nirvana, you have Pearl Jam, all these classics. We're classics now. And so I was told no, and I was like, no, I want to do it anyways. Mm-hmm. So I would go and save up lunch money, and I'd go to cassette stores or CD stores back when those were around, and I wouldn't tell my parents, and I'd buy CDs. And I would just buy anything I could get my hands on, Pantera, Goldfinger, Pearl Jam, anything that was cool, man. I remember one of my first 2 cassettes were MC Hammer, dead serious, MC Hammer, dude, and Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like at the same go, like I was just addicted to music. I was like, what is this thing that I'm not allowed to have? So I was just buying everything.
That's interesting because a lot of people don't even realize how influenced the Red Hot Chili Peppers are by like R&B music. Actually, those guys have a lot of like blues influences and stuff like that. So while everyone's like he picked Red Hot Chili Peppers and MC Hammer, actually you picked very identical artists who do a lot of entertaining things together. And I know some people are gonna be like, "What the fuck's he talking about?" But it's really crazy how like together those actually are.
I listened to an insane. I'm glad that I was so like just random at picking, because my taste in music now is so vast, and I appreciate literally artists no matter what genre that they're in. And I feel like it's made me more open-minded, and that you can always learn from somebody no matter what. So I take those lessons and I apply them into everything that I create. You know, you can always learn something from anybody. That's kind of my philosophy, especially as a musician. So I'm really open-minded to new bands on the scene or hip hop or anything. You know, there's not a lot of music. I don't listen to Western now. I don't listen to country. I don't listen to stuff like that. But anything that's experimental, definitely I keep my ear on the ground for that.
No, that type of stuff. My grandmother had that same saying, you know, no matter how old or how crazy the person may sound, if you listen to what they're actually saying, you might actually learn something from what's there, you know what I'm saying? And some people, you know, especially I think when it comes to the more extreme scene, there's so many people who I'm finding have multiple influences, and it kind of changes everything for them. Anyways, experiencing technical difficulties, but we're fine. We're going to move past it. So how did you start Recoil In Horror? What was the precursor for it? Were you in other bands before and they weren't going, or what exactly it took for you to get started?
These are great questions. Yeah. I love these questions, man. You know, I'm a quiet guy. So like, this is like, I get to finally talk about this stuff. So kind of after I was talking to you about how I would choose albums and like how music wasn't allowed, I'd bother my dad for years, like every year for a guitar, every year since I was probably 6 years old, you know? And like I said, being from a conservative background, I get things like hunting equipment and guns and stuff like this. I mean, like, dude, every year, and it drove me nuts. And I remember before I turned 16, I was like, I want a guitar. I've been asking for like 10 years. So I finally got a guitar. And immediately I wanted to go start and play in a band, even though I had no experience at all. I was like, I was just going to go out here and I think Korn was really big at the time, and Mudvayne and stuff like that. And so that's where I really started learning how to play the guitar, was from like nu metal. And then I would just play in jam projects and small high school bands. And around the age of 23, I started getting good at the guitar, because that's all I would do is play. And I made a band from Portland called Gaia, and that was heavily influenced by bands like Dillinger's Escape Plan and Into the Moat, and like crazy, more grindcore-ish, like Napalm Death. Like we were like a grindy band, dude. We weren't like super brutal, but we just had all these elements in there. So we played 2 shows, and we thought that we were doing okay. Like we weren't really like anything else. And then I got a call from Mike Thrasher to book shows. And I'm like, I just thought it was like for like a cool local venue. He's like, well, what's the bill for? He's like, well, it's Darkest Hour, As Blood Runs Black, Winds of Plague, and some other stuff, you know. And I'm like sitting here on the other end of the phone, like obviously I'm going to say yes at the first band that you told me, right? So I'm like just sitting here listening to him. And I'm like, and so like I'm trying to keep my composure, and I like put the phone down, and I'm just like, no, I think I'm going to have to talk to the guys, but I think we're going to have to make that work. Like it was going to happen no matter what. You know, like I was going to be there. So we started playing with Mike Thrasher, and he started booking us. And that's how I've made a lot of the connections that I have now for Recoil. So I've always been a fan of music. I'd just be that kid that would show up at shows, and they wouldn't really memorize me by name, but it's like they see the same face there. You know, the same guy knowing the lyrics, buying the merch. And just being supportive. Yeah. And after Gaia broke up, I wanted to keep going. We had a lot of momentum. We had done some smaller touring and shows, and I've worked in other bands, a handful of them, right? So I can give you 50 names, but that was my main project I had before. I kind of stopped because I couldn't find the right people to play music with at all. So I stopped and got a quote unquote real job. And it was miserable. Like I hated it. And I did that for several years. And then I met my current girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And her name is Mandy. She's also my manager. She was my metal chick. She is the biggest metalhead that you and I will ever meet. She's more hardcore than anyone that I've ever met before. Sorry about that.
Oh no, I can still see you, boss.
Okay. Yeah. There we go. Okay. It didn't come up on my screen, but I'll just keep going.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, you're good.
My bad. I'm old.
No, it's
I figured it out. The old guy figured out technology. Mandy is a huge metal fan, and I was still a listener, but I wasn't actively playing. And she's like, you should really do music. You really play, And I'm like, I've tried and I can't do it. Well, she got in a car accident, and we didn't know if she was gonna be able to walk again.
Wow.
And so we were doing physical rehab at the apartment, and she put her headphones in, man, and she started just like pumping out to metal bands like Slam Worldwide, all this stuff, and I'm just like, man, she's listening to some brutal stuff.
Yeah.
And I was watching her demeanor change and her willpower and her drive change.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like she was just taking that music and absorbing it and was pushing her through her rehabilitation. And I remembered, I was like, dude, that's why I started playing music. Like that right there. Like that's the impact that it has. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll play music again. I'm physically seeing, the effects that it has on people. So when she was better and she was walking again, she's like, how can I ever repay you? You're just, thank you for helping me and sticking with me. And I was joking. I'm like, you can help me get back on stage again. That'd be cool. And she's like, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. I was looking for a producer for like 2 years after I said that. Every day, every week, I was looking for bands and I just couldn't find anything. Go on YouTube. Here's Aaron Chaparian's name. He had, I don't know how many followers he had at the time, like maybe a couple hundred, something like that. I don't know. I message him. I'm like, hey man, I'd really, really would like to do a song with you. And he's like, okay, sweet. And he sends it back to me. And we released the first track, which was Me As Rot, and people really, really liked it. And I have never had, especially on the East Coast, and I've never had that kind of like reaction before. Like off the bat. And so I was like, okay, cool. We're going to do another one and we're going to do a third one. And now we're going to have a 10-track album with Aaron. The band name came from Mandy. She was describing her accident and her injuries. And she said it made her recoil in horror when she realized that she was like pinned in the car when she broke her legs.
Wow. And
that statement just stuck with me, man. And when we were making a metal band, I was like, what do we do? Because I usually hate three-word band names. Like I'm like always like the one word or the 2-word, like pathology, you know what I mean? Like something that sticks.
Yeah.
And I was like, how about Recoil In Horror? And it just worked, man. And that's how that came to be.
No, and that's pretty sick, man. And I love how, like, once again, man, it just speaks to Aaron and how Aaron works, man. He's such a good guy, man, and he works with so many different people. So it's like, it's this great relationship that we all have with this amazing producer who does such great work. And the other thing too, and definitely once again with everything that I ever hear Aaron do with his artists, the thing that sticks out is you feel the passion of whatever is trying to be conveyed in that song, whether it's a heavy song, a metalcore song, whether it's whatever the case is. How do you feel Aaron helped you in that sense of bringing Recoil In Horror to something you're like, this is the direction we need to go?
I don't think that's an excellent question. I don't think that I don't know what Recoil In Horror would have been without him at all, because you can describe what you're thinking and how you're feeling and give the examples, but he really captures the psychological element and the emotional element of what you're trying to convey, like perfectly, almost like every time that you're like, hey, this is my influence behind this. And I'll send him source material like keyboard parts or guitar parts. I've been able to give old riffs that I had written that were sitting on a computer that were mine that I've wanted to use forever, and pull them off and be like, hey man, I wrote this like 6 years ago. Can we use this? He's like, yeah, I'll re-image this. And it's just phenomenal, man. There's nothing like it. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like he's such a rare person to meet, especially as a musician. And he's just an amazing producer.
I think that's the awesome part about it, is not being in the same room with him, man, and what you're able to come out with just being, hundreds of miles away from this person. and you're literally just having conversations, and somehow, some way, he's just able to just put out something you're even more blown away by the fact that you, one, had this idea, and then he brings it to life in such a way.
He captures lightning. He captures lightning in a bottle every time.
Yeah.
Like, the rarest thing to do, like every time he's just going out catching lightning in a bottle, and then he just jars it up. And he's like, hey, this is cool. I did this. And he's one of the most humble, genuine people that I've had the pleasure of working with, man. It's been the funnest music thing I've done ever. It's just been fun and easy, and he really makes a soundtrack for what you're feeling, man. And you just don't find that anywhere. You just don't. It's very rare to find that.
Yeah, so. And he, like I said, he just, like, once again, he provides something that an artist needs, an identity, something that, like, if you are like 75% of the way, Aaron helps you get to that 100%, and he provides that. He provides that atmosphere, that dynamic, whatever you're looking for. Aaron definitely is that guy. So, I mean, there are some songs that I've done with Aaron that are just some of what I consider some of my best work. And having been in music for almost, good God, I'm 34 now. I was 16 when I started. Yeah. So
we're 1 year apart. So, all right.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
We're on the same. Yeah. No, you're right on that, man. And Aaron is also, I think, one of the hardest working musicians and just human beings I've ever met. Because not only is he producing for probably 50 bands at a time, because that's what he does. He just doesn't stop. He's always doing stuff to better himself, and he's always sharing great material that's uplifting and positive. And that in itself is inspirational for the people that work with him, and people pick that up. And you're right about that. If you're at 75%, Aaron will push you to that 100. That's an excellent way of looking at it, because that's exactly what he does. And I wouldn't be lucky enough to have what I'm doing right now without his support, like at all. If I was getting married, he'd probably be up there. He'd be like a groomsman, or so. Like, I can't say he'd be the best man, because my brother would be very upset with me.
Yeah.
But
he'd be close.
he's VIP, man. He's gonna get whatever special treatment I can give him in the future. He's getting it.
Hell yeah, man. That's awesome.
So I don't know. He's just an amazing human being.
Yeah, man. Yeah. There's so much that could be said about him. But so we talked about your upbringing, how it was really conservative, how you kind of you kind of had to like push your way to get to where you wanted to.
Absolutely.
So kind of explain to me, like, okay, so you're like, I want to do a band after you saw the inspiration from your girl and helping her get through what she got through. Now, how does Ian go from, okay, I want to get back on stage? How does Ian start that process? How does that get started for you, man?
Okay. So,
after Aaron, obviously, talking with Aaron.
Yeah, after Aaron. So I found Aaron, and it was recommended to me from a really close friend that I need to find a producer for a really long time. So I took that advice first, and I applied it. I just sat there, like, I had to be really patient. Found Aaron. Took me forever. And so I'm like, okay, well, originally I wanted to release these tracks and hopefully become a vocalist. If it wasn't going to be for Recoil In Horror, that was going to be my personal project. Hopefully I can get the attention of other musicians that are touring, because I really want to tour. I love performing live. It's like, I'm just going to keep releasing songs and making it a part of Recoil In Horror project. So it's awesome. I'm still being productive and I'm getting out there. Track 2, now here's where it gets crazy. We released the second track, and that's when I had caught Chris Simmons' attention. And he had just kind of been sitting back and seeing what we were doing, because Chris Simmons was trying to work on a project of his own with Aaron as well. So he was trying to find a vocalist, and I was trying to find – I've been playing guitar for 16, 17 years now as well. I can't play as well as I used to, so that's why I made this switch to vocals. So I was looking for – I had an idea on the drummer that I currently have. I knew he was in the area, so – that took us a while to figure out the drummer situation. But Chris Simmons started paying attention to what we were doing around our second track release. Track 3, he sent me a message. He's like, hey, dude, this track is sick. Like, I'm really impressed. And I'm like, I'm looking for a guitar player right now. Like, I really want to tour with this, because we're really starting to gain some momentum. And he's like, all right, well, my name's Chris, and I live in in California, and I'm like, awesome, dude. And the name struck, it struck a chord with me, but I was so I wasn't used to all this attention that we had. So I'm like, hey man, I'll get right back to you with the tabs and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, dude, I know that guy, but I gotta go take care of this real quick. Aaron messages me. He's like, hey, you realize that's Chris from Suffocate, right? I'm like, holy shit. That's Chris from Suffocate. I'm an asshole. I just told him I'd get right back to him. So I dropped everything I was doing and went back and sent him the tabs right away. And he sent me a playthrough, tryout within 6 hours. He had already memorized the song.
Wow.
He didn't even need the tab.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, let's do this. And then shortly after, we just kept releasing songs, and then COVID hit, and so my original drummer had to leave due to COVID things. It really was bad, and so I hit up Elijah, who lives in Portland. Mm-hmm. I said, hey man, I've been watching you for 2 years, not to sound creepy, but I've always really wanted you in this project because you're just a sick drummer. You play mm-hmm. black metal and extreme metal and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And you can blast beat like a pro. So I joined. So I asked him, and he's like, yeah, let's meet up. And then Manny talked to him. I talked to him for about 4 hours, and it just came together, man. And then Chris moved up here a couple weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
So it was awesome. Wow. Yeah. That's how dedicated it was, man. Chris moved up here a couple weeks ago. So he lives 10 minutes down the road from me now.
That's awesome, man. And once again, like I told you before we started, huge Suffocate fan, man. I absolutely love that vocalist and love that. So now that we're talking about vocalist and stuff like that, man, let's talk about your vocals, man. Thank you. You have a uniqueness to them, even though they are what you would expect for that kind of band. But your power is, I would have to say, you and Devin of Worm Shepherd are probably some of the more interesting guttural vocals, in the sense that you guys just sound like whatever caged animal you wanted to sound like is what you sound like, man.
Dude, that means a lot for it means a lot to me, especially for the comparison or similarities with Devin, because Devin, how old is he? Is he 20?
19.
Yeah. So yeah, right. Exactly. So Devin is an amazing vocalist, and the range that he captures, to me, is what the crazy part is. Not only is he's absolutely powerful, but his voicings and his characters that he creates. Because I've been following Devin back when I think he first started releasing vocal covers with Aaron for Signs of the Swarm, I think is when I first started hearing what he was doing. So I've been paying attention for a long time. I was like, dude, this kid's going to fucking blow up. This kid's nuts, But I appreciate the comparison, or the contrast there, dude. Devin's awesome. With me, I've been doing vocals for literally about 2 years now, seriously. So all these techniques and stuff, tunnel throats and all this type of modern day technique stuff is new for me, because I come from a hardcore era. And I've always kind of been focused on my gutturals and what I can do there. I've gotten lower and nastier, and I think in the last 6 months especially, I'm going to be redoing a lot of the vocal tracks for the final album.
Okay.
Because my skill level has just increased so much, and it's become my new fascination and my new addiction for music. Because I've been playing guitar for 16 years, I can play a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. I've been playing forever. So with vocals, it's a lot more challenging, because I'm learning the balance between, I guess, head and heart, or head and diaphragm. And these little pressures that you can adjust in your diaphragm and in your neck and things like that, and in your mouth. And it took me forever to learn how to do highs, and now I can do those confidently now, because I wasn't thinking about your head voice and your nose and your nasal cavity and stuff like that, and how it's all connected. So it's kind of been my music yoga, and it feels extremely therapeutic. And I just hit the gutturals hard, man. It's always been my thing. I came from hardcore, and all I can tell you is I just push from the diaphragm.
Yeah,
I just push from the diaphragm.
I think the most interesting thing about vocals, which is why for me, when I first started doing vocals, I did a lot of mocking other vocalists. So when I first started doing vocals, Atreyu was kind of like huge at the time for me, at least. And Killswitch Engage. So like those were the vocalists that I kind of modeled myself after. And then as I've become older, which is something that kind of transitioned to, I kind of always sang, but I kind of like started to find my balance between screaming and singing. Which is you know, screaming in itself is a whole ordeal, which is why I love when people look at you in the face and they're like, isn't that just yelling and stuff like that? And it's like, man, if I broke it down for you, you would be blown away by how much more complex it actually is. You know what I'm saying? And Absolutely. It's not to seem like we're like better than anybody because we do this. The vocalists are my thing, man. Just watching an interesting vocalist or hearing a vocalist who's doing something you're not expecting, something you're not doing. I think that's why guys like Alex from fucking Slaughter to Prevail is one of those guys that everyone is super interested in because he's doing stuff that's not what you would call the normal range of screaming. Devin is in that same thing, and I think if people really start listening to Recoil In Horror, they will see that you guys are like leading that trend of what is guttural, what is the new normal, or what is the new techniques to really look out for, and how you guys are blending that within songs and stuff like that. Just to give you an example, your cover of Roses is fucking complex when you compare it to the original St. John. I listened to both of them back to back just to kind of get a similarity. And what I love about your version, which is a lot of things a lot of people don't realize, everyone does a cover nowadays. Let's be honest. Everyone on YouTube does a cover. What you provided in your cover was not only the fact that this doesn't sound like the song, but the elements you kept from the song are fucking stunning. They're subtle. They're almost, it sounds weird, but it's almost more beautiful. Like, it's weird to say that. It's like it's almost more beautiful. Like, for real.
It means a lot to me that you say that because I have had a lot of positive response from that track, and it was a lot of fun to do. And you say like everyone's got a cover, right? So when I did this, I thought about it with my girlfriend. I'm like, hey, I want to do a cover song, but I don't want to be like in the trend. Like how you know, I was like, how do we do this and be a part of it, but kind of do it differently? Mm-hmm. Well, Portland is the Rose City, and so Roses, and it was a hit song. Mm-hmm. And St. John is like a crossover artist. Yeah. And so he's worked with all these people, and he can do like he's capable of anything. Mm-hmm. And so when I saw that, I'm like, okay, this guy's like an artist, and he influences me. You know, he inspires me. Mm-hmm. I like his music, mm-hmm. and I'm like, let's do this track. I think this is going to be a good one. Mm-hmm. And then so I hit up Alex from Planet Killer, Litterbox Massacre, because Aaron is super busy, and I felt bad. I was like, oh man, I've been working with Aaron all this time, and I was like, I got to do this song though. So I was like, hey, Alex,
like stepping out on your girl,
right? You know what I mean? And so I was like, exactly. So I told Alex, I'm like, hey, dude, let's try this out for fun. You know, I really want to do this real quick. And he's like, yeah, I could do this. And I'm like, I kind of feel like we could do these elements here from this song and keep this from the song, and let me hear your version of it. So he gave it back to me. I'm like, dude, this is golden. Like, this is perfect. Mm-hmm. Like, the instrumentation on it's genius. And then I was like, all right, how do we bring this song to life and kind of build some character to it? Because I want to do this tastefully. I don't want to make a meme out of it because I don't want to disrespect the original art. Mm-hmm. You know, I want to make it fucking like its own thing, its own genre, you know, its own kind. And so I'm like, all right, let's just do it. Let's just go how you feel. And I did that song in about, I don't know, I think about an hour. I did it in about 3 takes. Oh, wow. And I felt it. I'm normally not like that. I'll be in the studio for a long time, but I just felt good, man. Like the little inflections on my screams and where I held it out, like it just worked well, and it felt good. So I kept it. I'm like, all right, this is it. This is the version. But it was important to me to not mock pop music or not mock the artist I was covering. I wanted to be as tasteful as I can. Mm-hmm. So I try to keep as many original elements as possible.
I think the awesome thing is I'm going to go off in a little bit of the weeds here for a second, but I think what people need to realize is that a lot of times when we as artists hear something else that is inspiring and we show our love and admiration for it, sometimes it's not always perceived that way. Some people, you know, will take it as we're trying to be cooler, or we're trying to, you know, which in my opinion, I think you gave that song a new coat of paint on it that like some people not saying. And if St. John ever decides to listen to this cover, I hope he's impressed. That would be
I
really
hope he
sick.
does, man. It's so bad. I was telling Mandy, I was like, dude, I would do anything to have him just hear it one time. Like, even if he was just like, dude, what the fuck is this guy doing? You know, like just for him, just to have that chance or opportunity to have him take a peek at it.
Oh yeah.
Because I feel like I listen to a lot of his interviews, man, and he's such a grounded, like, he's just well spoken. Like, he just knows who he is. You know, like everything about that guy is awesome. And I was like, man, he's kind of guy. I bet he'd be open minded if he heard this.
Oh,
you know, like I think he might be. You know, I mean, who knows? He's doing cool shit like private jets and Lamborghinis. So, but I think he'd be open to it. You know, he just seems like an intelligent guy, and so there's always that chance there. I hope one day it gets to the algorithm and he picks it up, dude. I'd be so excited to have him respond to it.
Definitely would be sick. So the other thing too with the song was the fact that you did the photo art on it was absolutely amazing, and I showed my wife it because my wife loves weird things like that. With you with the blackout contacts, the blackness on the arms, and then the white rose was like so just you not only gave the song a new look. You gave the cover that you did that you presented was a good look. So who was behind that? Where did that come from? And who's the photographer?
The photographer, her name is Raven, and she models our shirts. And Mandy, my manager, also my girlfriend / manager, she edited the photo and kind of came up with a concept for it. The white rose represents like rebirth and hope and, you know, perseverance, and the darkness kind of represented, you know, like kind of the demons that we kind of struggle within and what we really see and how we feel. So there's always that glimmer of hope, no matter how dark you can feel. So the whole thing was just kind of like an art project. Raven took the photos, and she was kind enough to bring over her gear because we don't have that kind of setup. She does. And we did it here in our storage unit because it's empty. You know, we got some boxes in there. And Mandy was kind of the art direction behind that, and I kind of gave my basic like input for what I was looking for. So they were the geniuses behind that. They put it together, and I loved it. I really don't like photos myself. I want to get up on a stage and scream. You know, that's what I want to do.
But it provided a great visual, and I think it added something. You just didn't get the cover, the visual on top of it, which what stood out to me when I was going through your Spotify, just kind of like listen up on you, man, and a little peek behind the curtain. But I try to do as much research as I can on an artist. One, because I want to show you that, you know, I love what you're doing, man. And I think that's something I love bringing on artists that not only do I respect what they do, but I'm loving what they're doing, man. And we're talking about, you know, songs. There's another song I want to talk about, which I think is so fucking amazing. And the feature you have on this one is my favorite one. So we're talking about the Scholar Tempest, which was absolutely amazing. And you've got CJ McCready on there, and it is fucking brutal. Let's say that. That's fucking brutal, man. It is absolutely amazing. And then him on the end of the song is just Oh, that's me on the very end of it. Really?
That's me. Yeah, that's me on the end of it.
I thought maybe there was like a blend there between you two, but okay. I'm even more impressed now.
him and I trade off, and they're like, he has that whole middle section, but he and I traded off. No, that's me at the end of it. But I'll take that as a compliment. That's totally fine as well, man. So that track, Aaron had created that song, and I had taken a listen to it. And the first thing I thought in the back of my mind was, if I don't I hope this is not, you know, this isn't for another artist, and I want this track, because if I don't get on it, I'm going to end up regretting it. That was the first thing I thought. It was so good to me when I heard it. I'm like, this would be a regret, you know, hopefully this isn't for someone else that's already signed, you know. I mean, I heard it and I was like, God, dude, this is behemoth. So he's like, no, dude, you can have it you want. And I was like, yes, now please. You know, I was like so stoked. And then I sat on it forever, and I'm like, dude, what do I do with this? Because this song, like the music itself is like insane, dude. Like it just pumps so hard, and it's groovy and it's brutal. And I'm like, hey, let's do a feature. Like, why not? Like, I mean, it's gonna be cool. And then back before everything happened with CJ, you know, he was advertising it on his socials, and I didn't see the message for like 12 hours after he'd posted. I'm like, oh, there's no fucking way I'm gonna be able to get in with him now. So I sent him a message. I'm like, hey, dude, I'm sure you're booked and your inbox is full, and you know, I'm not really a well-known artist at all right now because you work with, like, you know, I know who you are, you know, obviously, so I'm contacting you. And he got back to me within like 30 minutes, and he's like, let me see some of your older stuff. I'm like, okay. So I sent him FLAYER, which was track 2, and I actually modeled my vocals after what they had that one music video when he was in Signs of the Swarm. God, what is it, man? Cesspool of Humanity or something?
Yeah,
like
I think so.
Most popular one. Anyways, I saw that one, and I was like, dude, that influenced me to be a better vocalist. So, like, well, my vocals kind of sound like that on FLAYER, so I sent them off to him. He got back to me after 10 minutes. He's like, I'm going to listen to this. He's like, dude, this shit is heavy. I'm like, all right, so is that a yes? You know, and he's like, yeah, we'll do this. So, yeah, and then we sent it off, and then I got it all finished up and recorded it. And I was kind of expecting it to get attention, obviously, because that's, you know, CJ's name was on it.
Exactly.
I was not expecting to get as much attention as we got. And I'm so thankful for that, and I'm so humble for that. And I'm just a normal guy. I'm nerdy. I love music. I just do normal things. But it was overwhelming, the response we got, and I'm so thankful for it. And that was a huge momentum booster. It really got a lot of attention. I mean, I've never been on blogs before, man, you know, and I got these messages of people tagging me and stuff, and people coming to me and asking me questions, and I was like, oh, dude, this is what I've always wanted, kind of, you know. And I'm just like, holy shit, this is so overwhelming.
Yeah.
So
no, people, I mean, you know, when you recognize someone has talent, you know, I always try to, you know, make it be known. If I stand with an artist, I'm going to let you know right off the rip that I enjoy you. Yeah. Myself right now, in the space that I am doing podcasting and stuff, sometimes it's kind of difficult to reach out to artists because, one, you're like you said yourself, you're like, I'm not even on that level. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not one of these, I'm not Lamb Goat or anything like that, but I want to be able to openly talk to some of these artists and stuff like that. So,
well, you can be bigger than them someday, though. You know what I mean, man? I think that's the thing. I'm going to tell you, being a musician and telling you, you're a musician yourself. I enjoy things like this. It's more personal for me, and it's more connected. And a lot of us musicians just want to be viewed as, I think, as normal human beings. And sometimes the media, the big, where I'm going with this is the bigger media outlets want to idolize us as something more and make us something into, you know, that we're not, you know. So we kind of unintentionally lose our authenticity to bigger media outlets. So that's why I enjoy talking with you, because you're awesome, and Brandon's awesome, and Aaron's awesome. You know what I mean? I'm in good hands with you guys.
Yeah, no, so, I mean, and that's why it's awesome that I even get to talk to someone like you who's on the other side of the country, you know, in a different time zone, and I love it, man, because it just shows that, like, no matter how far apart we are, there are so many things about music that keeps us connected and related together, that we have these opportunities to make, you know, lifetime connections with people. Like you said, you know, the love you have for Aaron, he would be in your wedding the moment. You just think about that. He's not even in the same side of the country as you, and you have this love for this dude.
Yeah, you know? When the fires happened, I'm going to tell you this. This is, I forgot. I guess it just all came back to me real quick. When the fires happened, it was like a panic, right? And we're loading up to get out. Aaron literally was the first person.
Wow.
In my text messages across all platforms of communication, Aaron was the first person to message me. He said, "Hey, are you and Mandy okay?" And I said, "Dude, I don't know. I'm freaking out. You know, I gotta, you know." I'm just like packing a pair of clothes and my animals and putting my cats in their cages, you know? And I'm like sitting here thinking like, dude, what the fuck am I going to do with my turtle? Like, I'm not going to leave him here or something. It's like, you know what I mean? So I'm getting ready to move. But Aaron was literally the first person that was like, hey, if you lose everything, like, you can come out here and stay at the studio. Like, it doesn't have a shower. I'm just, I look at Mandy and I'm like, this guy's like my family. Like He was the first person to contact me, man. And it made me feel so good, dude. and music really brings us together on one common denominator.
For real.
And on that topic, I want to talk about how it's important for bands in the scene and musicians to support each other, because this scene will go really far and further than I think anyone in the music scene understands. Because if we're each other's backbone, dude, I really feel like we could get metal, especially in America, back in some sort of a mainstream following. Not saying selling out, not saying, you know, changing the image, but really bringing shows back and really bringing it back to where it was. And I think COVID really damaged that. But I think we have an opportunity now to come together like you and I are, and other bands can do this as well, to lift each other up for when this stuff opens up again, man. Because people are going to want to go to shows. They're going to buy your merch. They're going to come out and get out of the house and be active again. So I hope that's my grand vision for this, man.
Yeah, fingers crossed, brother.
I want to go to the East Coast. Like, you guys are awesome. You guys treat me well. I want to hang out there, dude. You guys are amazing.
No, and that's a good thing to go on, man. Because for the simple fact is that I've always felt like, you know, as much as we can, because, you know, some of us have lives, you know, like the last few years I've kind of been pushing back away from music myself, just because, you know, I'm married now, you know, I've got kids and stuff like that, and then COVID just kind of put a damper on a whole lot of things, and then I think this is a time to be reminded of how important those things are, and how we need to make time for things that you really want to make time for, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's music, whether it's being a part of music, whether it's just supporting, man, because just as much as it's difficult now for artists, it's difficult for people who are just fans of it and just want to feel that rush again. They want to feel alive again. They want to feel like, you know, your favorite guy is going to pass you that mic so you can go crazy, because I've seen life-changing moments just off of that, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you talk about, like, and here's the other thing too, like when you talk about like an artist like Devin, the fact that he told me his experience with Miss May I, which is kind of where he started with vocals, man, and how they treated him, it really just shaped him as an artist. And I think sometimes, you know, me or you, an artist, we may not realize that in a moment of a conversation with someone, we might have just inspired them or put them on a path to go into a certain direction because we were nice to them, you know, or we had a conversation with them.
Dude, so it's crazy that you bring this up, and I'm not going to give this person's name away.
Yeah.
So this is super positive, but the one benefit I've had for COVID is I think more people are discovering Recoil In Horror.
Yeah.
And they're like, dude, I can't believe this was released months ago. I'm just finding you out. And I'm like, dude, it's okay, dude. You know, sometimes hit albums sit on the shelf for 2 years, you know? So I've been getting these, like, all these messages, and it's really cool. I had this one guy, he was really upset on a post, and he was a fan. And I just messaged him. I'm like, hey, dude, you know, like, are you okay? And he sent me this voice message back. He's like, you know, I just want to say that, like, people like you and other vocalists I like, you give us power, man. Like, you push us to fucking, you know, elements that we don't think that we can achieve. And we go through things, man. And I got tears in my eyes because you could hear the passion in his voice. And I'm like, this is why I do this as a vocalist, because I love making people get through their worst times. I love elevating people. Like, if they want to just be angry and vent, dude, we can be angry together on an album or live or whatever. And it's like, I like being able to feel like I can support that person or be a part of their psyche for a while, getting them through whatever troubles them, you know. And I've had musicians change my life as well. A very couple, you know, few close friends, man, that have really changed my life, and that's why I do what I do now.
Yeah, man, and that's the awesome part of it, man. And we, like I said, we're all stuck at home right now, or when you're off of work, you know, some of us essential workers who are off work, man, or you're doing during work, you got time to listen to music and stuff like that, and how it can push you through so many different things, whether you're upset or depressed, because in all honesty, and a lot of people, you know, may not want to look at it that way, but, you know, this kind of music can be so therapeutic for somebody. I know for me, you know, when I'm pissed off and upset, I want to listen to something heavy and that reflects that mood. But rather than get violent with it, it just kind of, it brings me back to that level to realize that, you know, shit is trash. Let's be honest, man. Things going on right now are just fucking trash. And then getting able to listen to something heavy that kind of reflects your feelings at that time, it kind of brings you down to an even keel, levels you out, and reminds you that shit's rough, and it can always be worse, but we have these great things like music, and as much as people don't realize it, it's so available to us right now that we can just you can just, hey man, I want to listen to Recoil in Horror right now, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I could say that to my Alexa right here, and I can say that to her as she comes on in the corner next to me. But yeah, no, I love this connection that we all have, and it sounds like you're extremely passionate about giving people that experience, about giving people that love, especially hearing the story about your girl and stuff like that, man. How does she feel about what you're putting out now? Is she loving what you're doing? Do you still feel like you're how to say that, like you're connecting with her and showing her some of the things? Because I'm sure it sounds like she's a fan of what you do either way.
I'm the luckiest person in the actually I hate when people say I'm the luckiest person in the world, but I feel like in regards to her that I'm the luckiest person in the world because she has been my number one fan when I didn't even believe in myself. I mean, I'll be really honest with you. Before I started doing this, I had done music and toured, and I've done tours before. I have toured on projects. This is crazy. I played on a tour where Jason Richardson was the guitarist for All Shall Perish, where he started out. Then the next tour, I played on a tour with Born of Osiris, and that was during the Discovery era. So Jason Richardson was their guitarist then. And then I played another tour. When he had left Born of Osiris and was on Chelsea Grin from some other projects that I was in. So it's like, I'm from that era. I saw Jason Richardson in 3 separate bands before he just became Jason Richardson. Well, I guess he's in All That Remains now, right? Yeah. Or working with them at least. But anyways, so I've had a lot of experience in the scene, and I just kind of was defeated. I don't want to be someone like Jason Richardson, but I just wanted a band that was active, So I was really defeated. And Mandy's been my number one fan. And she really pushed me, and she, I don't know. It's hard to describe because I just feel so blessed with it. She motivates me. She gets my ass up, and if I don't feel confident about something or I don't feel well about it, she'll just give me this look. She's from New Jersey, by the way, So I got that. Or she's from Philadelphia, excuse me. And she's got that sass tour. I'm like the chill West Coast dude, and she's just like gonna tell me how it's gonna be and how I need to feel. I mean, not like controlling me, but she's like, don't feel this way, And she is my number one motivator, and she just doesn't say stop. She just goes and goes and goes, and she loves it equally as much as I do. And we just work great together. We're each other's best friend, and we're a team.
That's what's up, man. I definitely feel that too. I was living in Florida for 12 years and moved back up here. To be closer to family, but also to be with my wife that I've known since she was 15 and I was 17.
Oh, wow.
So one of those things where we met in life at a weird time, and then later on just kind of
came back.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude.
And when I came back here, she was definitely the motivator for this right here, and she hates that I talk about her. I'm going to talk about her again. But she is the biggest driving force behind this right here, this medium, this whole, I talked about it for almost 2 years before she was just like, she gave me that look, and she's from Massachusetts, so she gave me that look and was just like, shut the fuck up and do it. You know what I'm saying?
Do it, yeah.
It kind of like, it motivated me, and this is why I'm so thankful for the opportunity that I have to be with her, but also this opportunity that she made me reach out to people like you, man, and kind of start talking with you and start talking. So before we get out of here and before we get all mushy and stuff, because we're metal dudes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we're metal.
This is metal.
Exactly.
This is metal.
One more song I want to talk about with you, man, is Emissary of the Butcher. Which is of the Butcher. Apologize. Which is another kick-ass song. And it features Julian Curse.
Julian Kersey. Yeah, of the Faceless.
Okay.
And Rose Funeral and Aegeon. He's been a part of awesome bands, man.
I feel bad because I didn't know who he was until you just said that, and I was just like,
oh, that's fine.
Yeah, he's okay. So legit features here, kids. Legit features.
Yeah,
here.
legit features here. So. I met Julian. He came to Portland, and we saw him with the Faceless, and we talked to him briefly. And I wanted to ask him there, but I'm still a shy shit at the time. I'm a really shy guy. Like, I'll warm up eventually, and then you'll want me to shut up, you know? And I was like, dude, this guy is so cool. Like, he's just really humble and awesome. So then I'm sitting here, and I'm like, dude, I want to ask him again. And so I messaged him, like, hey, do you want to do a feature? This would be really sick. You know, I sent him a picture of us in Portland. I'm like, I met you in Portland. And he's like, yeah, dude, let's hear it. He's the nicest human being, dude. He is so down to earth, and he is humble, and he writes great material. And it's crazy to me because he's been in several bands that have heavily influenced me. Rose Funeral, Aegon. I don't know how to pronounce that word.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm terrible with names, so don't worry.
And then ultimately the Faceless. And so for me, it was just about the history of metal, like, because when I was younger, I was listening to Rose Funeral on the regular. So having someone that came from those roots, I was like, it's just awesome, dude. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm just very thankful, and I'm very humble that I get to have these opportunities. Very thankful.
And it seems like you're such a really, really cool and chill dude. So, like, it's awesome to see good things happening to good people who do great things, man. And I think, you know, and if anybody doesn't know, man, you should really be checking out Recoil In Horror. Not only because Aaron Chaparian is absolutely god-level tier producer, but because you have awesome features. And also on top of that, you're just an awesome vocalist. And I you know, they have this term, give them their roses. I'm giving you your roses, man, because you're
I'll take it.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And if anybody doesn't know, man, you should really check them out. So, man, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show, brother. I appreciate you being on, man. But before
it's my pleasure.
Yeah, before we get out of here, man, let's plug these social medias so people know where to find you.
Okay.
Recoil In Horror is on Facebook, Recoil In Horror. Also on Instagram, all lowercase Recoil In Horror. Then you got them on Bandcamp, recoilinhorror.bandcamp.com.
Yeah.
And then you can also check out their profile page on rhodesentertainment.com. Yep. And check those guys out, man. Anything else?
I got one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
We do have a website, is www.recoilinhorror.com.
All right, man. So
you can go there and get merch if you want to. If you guys buy the t-shirts, we can make you more different t-shirts. I'm not trying to make money. I'm just trying to give you guys more content. So if you guys buy t-shirts, they're printed on Gildan material. It's A+. If you want beanies and hoodies, we're coming up into that season. Buy some shirts so I can print you guys some more stuff.
Nothing wrong with that, man. Thank you again, Ian. I appreciate you coming on, brother. All right.
Thank you, Blue. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.